Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of the Young People's Money Podcast. I am your host, Liana Chow. With this podcast, I aim to normalize having open and honest conversations about money amongst young people, which is important because at the end of the day, it's how our world goes round. Today, our guest is one of my very close friends, Angie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi. That was not, that was like when you first wake up in the morning and you speak to humans. That was not okay. Hi everyone, I'm Angie. I didn't think about my intro.
It's okay, just say hi. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. Let's get right into it. All right. Question number 1, how did you grow up in terms of money and what was your family's relationship with money like?
Well, I think growing up, like it's pretty like common with the whole like Asian frugality thing, right? So I think a lot of it was like, and especially with my mom being like a hoarder, she always wants to save things to save money. But a lot of it was like, let me think, for example, like even right now, my mom would like, so she would look into our bill for like AT&T with like electricity and everything. And she was telling me how like a good percentage of our bill was to like ghost appliances. Do you know what that is?
What?
Which is basically like things that are plugged in but not being used.
Oh.
Right. So she was saying like, oh, so I had like got home from work one day and then I was like wondering like why all my shit was unplugged. And then she was like, oh, sorry. Like I was just freaking out looking at the AT&T bill and she just went to go and plug everything that she could think of.
She went to town on everything.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, you know, like the whole Asian thing about like not eating out because there's money. I mean, there's money at home. I wish there's food at home.
Can we get McDonald's? There's McDonald's at home.
Yeah,
it's like a whole meme template.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of like my family's relationship with money, my dad, so I don't even know like what his official position was, but he was working at USPS. Both of my parents are retired now, but he was working at USPS as like a maintenance man of some kind. Like he is like man of all trades. Like he knows a lot of like car stuff and just like maintenance stuff and constructing. Like also he's like a carpenter.
Oh, that's so cool.
I think he actually graduated with like an engineering degree.
Oh, wow.
As well, right?
Okay.
But he just never found the opportunity. The right opportunity when he came to the States and he didn't get that hookup. But he was doing that and I don't like know how much he made. I do remember like, you know, as a kid doing like not as a kid, but as an early high schooler / early college doing the FAFSA with my parents. I like saw all their numbers, but I never understood it. So I don't remember like how much they make. But, you know, regardless if my dad made a lot or not a lot, he's really, really good with savings. So that also just goes to show like he was very like frugal with a lot of things as well.
Did you feel poor growing up?
I don't know about like poor, just maybe like couldn't really like have certain things because my parents would just be like, no, like they don't want to spend the money. So they probably like had the money but just didn't want to or just didn't see the like purpose in getting some things. And then my mom, she's also retired. She was a histologist at Kaiser, which is like working in the lab with tissues and stuff. And again, I don't know how much she made. I thought she had a 6-figure salary, but maybe like a little under. So she had money, but she just, you know, like a lot of that went into spending a lot with the hoarding, and like whenever she couldn't find something, she would just go and buy it. And we definitely would have had like a lot more money if she didn't do that.
Yeah, I think hoarding. I've talked about it in therapy because my parents are hoarders too, and like it comes from like this scarcity mindset that, you know, immigrant parents tend to come to the States with, and it's like a very common thing apparently, where like you just feel like there's never going to be enough, or like you need to save this one item, you know, because it might like be useful in the future, but it's just like totally useless.
Yeah, and like my mom would save a lot. Like, so this is a perfect example. So the dinner that I cooked last night, it wasn't like a full-on cook. It was literally like, so some of my friends, they like introduced me to this nice like easy pasta dinner at Safeway. And it's really, really good, but literally all you do is like it comes with the sauce, it comes with the pasta already.
Oh, it's like a kit?
Yeah, and you just literally put it together in the pan.
Okay.
But that's what I cooked last night. But So I like did that for them, and as I was unwrapping this, like my like trained self from my childhood, it's so annoying. I can't just open up the bag like a normal person. I have to cut it very nicely at the edge.
So you get all the juice.
Yeah, cut it very nicely at the edge so I can get all the juice, and then I have to cut it nicely so because I know my mom is gonna want to reuse the bag.
No.
Yeah, so there was like this big package bag which was nice and big, so I cut it for the edge so that she could still use it for something, and then I made sure to cut the other two. There was a like a container inside, and I made sure to save that because I knew she would want to use it. And then the sauce bags, I cut that nicely and rinsed them out for her and then I put them on the counter because I know like this has happened in the past. If I open it badly, she's like, oh, don't open it like that, like I could still use it for something. And if I just like put it in the trash, she will like find it and come to me later and be like, oh, don't throw that away, I could use that. Yeah, and I was like going through a box of some stuff outside one time, and I just found like piles and piles and piles of like bags like that, like pot sticker bags, or you know, like just some shit where it's like, when would you like ever use that? Like, this is such a headache to have to save the trash, you know?
Yeah, but at least your like carbon footprint is like smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds rough. I can relate that to that as well, because like there were times where like me and my sister would try to get rid of like old crap like from our parents' like closets or whatever. Like my dad has these like engineering magazines from like 20 years ago that he just like hasn't cracked open. It hasn't seen the light of day in like 20 years, and he's like, are you throwing out my magazines? Don't do that. I'm like,
Oh my god.
why? So yeah, all right. Isn't that funny how, you know, like your mom, you know, the histologist, that sounds like a very lucrative profession, and then also your dad, like you guys you were a dual income family, but at the same time it felt like, you know, it felt like they never felt like they had enough money.
Yeah,
Or like
yeah.
they were panicking that it was gonna like all run out.
Yeah, I
day.
think so.
Yeah, so do you have a good relationship with money? Rank it from 1 to 10.
Me personally, let me think. Ugh. Man, I would want to say like 5 because and there are just so many different like aspects to this. So, well, you know this, but you know, for the listeners, like, I mean, and I think this is pretty common for like young adults. Like most people are in debt, right? And my debt is kind of like comprised of like a couple different factors. One of them is just like, you know, I had a crazy ex and he was using my shit, so I'm in debt from that. And then there's also like student loans I had when I was going to private university for a little while, and during the time that debt was like at its peak, I was also living in my own apartment, and I was working a salary job, like a minimum wage salary job. So I never really got to like utilize saving like that. So it was more of like still paycheck to paycheck. And I remember someone said to me one time, like, I think everybody just kind of looked at me as like, damn, Angie's like such a baller because I'm out here. At the time, I think I was making like, I don't know, like 55 salary, and they're just kind of like, wow, like, you know, how did you not save? And I'm like, girl, have you heard of something called rent? Have you heard of something called bills and paying like off debt? Like,
Yeah.
all those paychecks would just go straight to that.
And in California too.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And so there was that, right? But like prior to like being in debt and everything, I remember, and I still fantasize about this now because there was a time when I had a really, really great relationship with money. Like I, you know, like I was not in any debt other than, well, no, I wasn't in any debt. And I had like a lot of money saved up because I wasn't paying rent at the time, because during that time I was like still living with an ex-boyfriend and his mom. And basically like I had my own car, so I didn't have to worry about Ubering around, and you know, I was working my job full time, so I was like saving what I had, and then when I was with them there, they weren't asking me for rent, so I was really like able to save all that money, and my credit score was great. It was like the greatest it's ever been. And that's like just such in contrast to like where I am right now. So I think that like with, you know, the right situation, despite everything, like I think I save money pretty well. But right now I'm not in that active like saving period, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, shit happens in life, you know, and like the fact that you were there in that like good relationship with money, spot, like it means you can go back there again.
Yeah.
It's not like you just like don't know what to do. It's just like, you know, life kind of threw a wrench at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of toxic exes, so money in relationships, like how, like going into your next relationship, like how would you expect to like split the bills and do that? Like, would you expect, would you prefer like a man like pay for everything? Because there are some people who do.
Yeah.
Or like, do you want to like split everything down the middle? Like, what makes sense to you?
I don't think, I mean, I definitely don't think that I want the man to pay for everything, because also like I'm a fucking independent ass woman and don't need to, you know, that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it needs to be so like clear cut, like everything must be exactly in half. I think it's more of like a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
And you know, most people do these now where it's like, oh, you got last dinner, let me get next dinner.
Yeah,
or
I
like
like that.
you know, it's more of like a courtesy sort of, but yeah, I think it's a little bit more fair that way. And I also, just to think about, like, I don't know where I'm going to be at in my career in my next relationship, or where this person is going to be in their career for the next relationship, but yeah.
Question number 2, what is or are your source or sources of income? What lands in your bank account monthly?
Okay, so my sources of income would just be my part-time job at Awaken Cafe in downtown Oakland. So I'm just making, so I'm a shift lead there. I make $19 an hour, which I'm trying to ask for a raise.
You
Because,
should.
Jesus, like
I'm
too good at my job, and I just, but I've just always had this, there's this weird stigma about like asking for raises, right? Like sometimes asking for raises just seems like, I feel like there's such a negative like connotation to it, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't learn until like my last job at this ramen restaurant, where one of my old managers is still one of my best friends, and he like was trying to normalize with me that asking for a raise is just like you knowing your worth and knowing like this, like you're knowing your capabilities and putting some worth into it, right?
As long as you can justify it too.
Yeah.
And I think you definitely can. It's just, it takes a lot of like self-confidence to be able, and like self-belief to just like be able to like ask for more money.
And it's just weird because like in my previous jobs, like I was always given the raise like automatic. Like I didn't, like raises weren't even on my mind. It was like, oh, my manager supervisor like saw this in me and recognized me and gave me a raise. Like Jeremy, when I was still working with him, he gave me like 3 raises without even telling me, and then was like, by the way, give you a raise, like type of thing.
Yeah, when you have like a good relationship with your boss and like you're all like buddy and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like I manage some people at work and I'm like, you deserve a raise. I'm gonna give you a fucking raise, like even if they don't ask for it. You know?
And like with right now, and at my job right now, like they also gave me like 2 raises without, or the first raise they gave me, they didn't tell me. The second raise was when I got promoted to shift lead, and it was like. When I started there at my job, like literally in the first week, they kind of like gave me a review and was like, hey, by the way, we just gave you like a raise because you're way more worth than like the minimum wage that we thought. And even when they brought me on, like they weren't bringing me in with minimum wage because of my experience, but then they gave me an even higher raise because they were like, okay, clearly like you're way qualified, you know? And now I'm just over here thinking like, one of my other managers like pulled me aside and was like, Angie, you've really been saving the day lately. Like we would be happy to throw money at you. And then I'm like, raise? Like I wonder.
He just like said, we'll be happy to throw money at you and didn't say anything else after.
Yeah. So I'm just over here like, okay, I wonder if he meant throw money at me as in like, as long as I can pick up all these shifts, I'll just keep on like making heck of bank by picking up these shifts, you know? Or like raise, you know?
Yeah, I think raise. I think that sounds like a raise.
Yeah,
to me.
because I'm over here thinking about like, well, we do have like a meeting tomorrow, like with all the shift leads and supervisors and stuff. So,
right.
I mean, obviously this is something they would talk to me about like one-on-one and not like in a group.
No, stand on a table and be like, I deserve a raise. Everyone here deserves a raise.
Yeah. But also like, I've just been in this weird like back and forth of like, I wonder if they're gonna pull me aside and be like, you have been, you know, like really saving us again lately, and like you deserve a raise, because that's what they did before. Or do I just go up and be like, hey, you know, I feel like I've been doing like a lot more lately, and I feel like I deserve a raise, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think you should just go for it, because like if you don't ask, then like from their perspective it's like you're okay
with it, right?
You're okay with working like as hard as you are working at the current rate that you are being paid. So like, you know, ask for it.
Yeah.
Ask for it.
Yeah, so that's my like only and main source of income. And what lands in my bank account monthly. So when I, wasn't when I'd be on break for school, I'd be trying to pick up as many shifts as possible. So obviously, like, that is not like the consistent paycheck that I'd be getting, and obviously it was much more. Right now, I just work like 3 days a week, which is like the Friday to the Sunday. And honestly, like, tips at work aren't great, which is something that is like a little hard for me to get used to, because all in my previous jobs, tips were always like a really big like contributing factor to my paycheck going up, and it made sense why it was back then versus like now, because at my work right now it's just really focused on like coffee, and everything else is just like small pastries, and if there's anything food wise, it's like a bagel with egg or like avocado toast, versus my old jobs was like full service restaurant. So there was coffee and
there was like way more tips,
salads and everything. Yeah, so despite the hourly rate being higher than my other jobs, the tips are less. So I guess maybe that makes sense why the hourly can be a little bit higher.
Oh, when you went into it, did you expect the tips to be like more because it was like a fancy coffee shop?
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I did have, like, I kept that in mind, because I'm like, I don't really know how much the tips would be because it's just like coffee essentially.
Yeah.
But I think I wasn't prepared for it to be much lower than what I was used to. Because the tips, like, for my paychecks now, so we get tipped out like in cash at the end of every night, and obviously, like, tips in cash for a coffee restaurant aren't crazy, and we split it evenly between the entire day of who worked, regardless of like if you're a morning or night, which is fair.
Damn, so like if one person is really bad, then they just kind of fuck it up for everyone.
Yeah, then they will still get the same amount. But it was more in the look of like, when you're there in the morning, you get more tips because it's busier, but then that like leaves nothing for the nighttime, and the nighttime kind of has more work to do because they have all the cleaning and everything else to do. Yeah, so I think for like, I get paid bi-weekly, and the tips would be like less than 300 versus like my old jobs, it was like 600, like 1,000, like
1,000 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah, it was like, that was a big like contributing factor. So yeah. I think my paychecks now look like probably just brimming like 1,000,
like bi-weekly.
Yeah.
So you said that you made like around 55 at your last job. Does that include tips, or was that just your base?
I'm trying to remember, because I'm just ballparking that number off of my W-2 from last year. That I think was including tips.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So maybe my base was a little lower, and then I don't know. I can't.
Oh, don't know.
I don't know.
Well, that brings me to my next question. How many hours do you work a week to get that 1,000 per every 2 weeks paycheck?
So that is looking at like, I think it's less than 30 hours for sure. Let me think. It's probably like anywhere between 24 and 26 hours.
Okay, that honestly is like, because you were doing school and working like that amount, right?
Yeah.
And that was fucking crazy, because when I was in school, I could not fathom like doing more than 10 hours a week working. So damn.
Yeah, but I like my job. I like my job, like I'm such like a coffee connoisseur, so being there and doing everything and like learning more about coffee makes me really, really happy. I do like the professionalism of everything, because I personally take work like really, really seriously, even though like despite me being like a crackhead and like super goofy outside of work.
Not a literal crackhead. She doesn't do crawl.
No, I don't. But this is funny because it reminds me. So when I was working at this ramen restaurant, like sometime last year. We were just in desperate need for employees, like really, really desperate need. And I had a friend. That. Yeah, I had a friend that was looking for a job. So I was like, oh, just come like work with me. So I hired him. Worst fucking mistake ever. So pretty much like what happened was I was in this weird like tug and pull from working with friends, like mixing friends and work, right? I've never done it before.
You shat where you ate.
Yeah. I've never really done it before. I mean, I did get I did get my other friend a job when I was a teacher for a little bit. I did get my friend a job there, but it was like different because we didn't work together. Like we worked in different like departments.
Different departments. That's
yeah,
good,
yeah. So I feel like that was fine. And then in the past time we would just be like friends or whatever. But so this would be like literally we're working together, and this is one of like my closest friends too. And I'm like, he's a great guy. Like, you know, he's a great person.
He's cool. He needs
like
money.
yeah, and I'm like, how, like, if someone is a great person, like that could kind of goes to show like they could probably be a pretty good worker too, right? So I was like, okay, fuck it. Like I really just needed like a new hire, so I hired him, and I was like, oh my god, he's a piece of shit. Like like he was just, I don't know, he was kind of dumb, and like we talked about this like months after when we both weren't working there anymore, and he was like, yeah dude, I was like, we were drinking and I was like, hey, can I like just tell you something? And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I fucking hated working with you. And he was like, yeah, like sometimes I would leave the shift and be like, dang, did I just disappoint Angie? Like, is this gonna ruin our friendship? And I was just screaming that he thought that too. And I was like, yeah dude, I take my job like really seriously, despite to how like I may seem outside of work. And he was like, yeah, I'm really chill with work. I'm like, no, you're not chill, you're a lazy motherfucker. Like that's one of the things I really like about my job is the professionalism. And I just like the expectation that everybody holds up against for each other. It does seem like a little nerve-wracking though, because this is the first job where I've seen that they do like 2 and 4 week reviews for their new employees.
They do?
Right, because I'm like, okay, it makes sense. Like this is the kind of quality like employees they want to have at their shop.
Damn.
I didn't mind it because I got great reviews because I know I'm a great employee. Yeah. But it's so funny because some of my other coworkers, since I'm only there 3 days a week, I only see a couple of them once or twice a week. So there's like so much to catch up on. And one of my other coworkers who's a barista like was like, hey, did you get pulled aside for a secret barista assessment yet? And I'm like, no, is that happening? Like, and I don't know, I just got like nervous because literally like everybody got an assessment, even the assistant general manager got an assessment too. And I was just like, oh fuck. And literally like the general manager would like put in these ghost orders, and then like it was for a customer, and then he would come up and be like with his clipboard and he'd be like, this is a test. So it's very like complex. Like,
it's so funny. I love that.
Like with how we make our coffee, it has to be like the right texture.
Perfect.
It has to be aerated correctly. It has to be the right temperature. So he just comes up with the thermometer, sticks it in the drink, is like, this is a test. And I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my god, that's actually really intense.
Yeah, it is intense. And I think I'm the last person, like they haven't done it yet to me because I'm, like, so the general manager is usually off Fridays and Saturdays. So, and I work Friday, Saturday. So I didn't see him Friday, Saturday. And then on Saturday, I was telling my coworkers, okay, like on Saturday, I'm just going to get away from bar. I'm going to act like I'm not going to make any drinks that day. And then it just so happened that somebody called out that day, so we were short, so he didn't even have time to give me a review, and I was like, yeah.
Oh my god, that's so nerve-wracking. The anticipation though.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
But yeah, anyway, I do really like my job.
Yeah.
Me and like some of the supervisors were talking recently, and we were just talking about how like it's kind of exhausting always having to be the parent on shift all the time.
You have to be the parent in every aspect of your life.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And it's like
in your friend groups, in your family, and in your job. Like,
yes.
You just never catch a break.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like so all of the like managers and shift leads, like we all miss working with each other, but it's like very seldom that we all get to work with each other because we're all busy, like spread out on shifts throughout the day to like manage whatever shift we're working. And yeah, like, the normal employees, we just kind of like wish they had a little bit more initiative because fuck, it's like we're one of the few people that know how to do everything, and no one else is out here having like initiative and drive to go do something. And it's like, what if we're having an off day and don't feel like doing everything?
Yeah.
But yes, I like my job.
That's good. I'm glad. It's like, okay, like if you like didn't like your job, do you think you could like bring yourself to like not try, or do you have to try like everything?
What do you mean? Like,
because like, for example, like I don't really like my day job, right? But I can't like help but like be anal and like try and do a good job at it because it's like my duty and like my responsibility or whatever. So if you didn't like it, do you think you would like still try as hard?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, no matter what job I'm in, I'm always gonna try in it, and a lot of times it like trying in it despite despite me not liking it, is out of like obligation. Like, oh, maybe like I have to keep this job, or don't want to look for a new job, or it's like not, it's like more complicated than like, oh, you don't like your job, then just quit. You know?
Yeah. That's some type A shit. That's some childhood trauma, people pleasing stuff. I can relate.
I think the only job that I really like, that was really, really hard for me to try in, was when I was a teacher, and like like being with these kids. And I worked at a private school too, so not only were they like just kids, they were like bratty kids, you know, like really spoiled kids. Bratty kids. And I already didn't want to be a teacher like for my career, so just doing that like for my job was a lot.
What year was that? I don't remember you telling me about that too much.
2017, I think.
Oh, okay.
This was like, when I had 3 jobs at once.
Right, and one of them was teacher.
Yes. So I was probably there for about 9 months. And
9 months?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a long time to be at a job that you don't like.
Yeah, and I really like put a lot of effort into it in the beginning, and then it really kind of like bottomed out towards the end. And I remember my boss bringing me aside, and we had like a little meeting, and he was essentially telling me that like he didn't want to micromanage me, and I was just like screaming, cracking up in my head, and I'm like, this has never been said to me before, because I don't. And I'm like, this really just goes to show like how much I don't like this job. And then I forgot what I was telling him, but I was like, yeah, I might, I think I told him I was considering like not wanting to be here anymore, and he's like, okay, well, let's just take this as your 2 weeks then. And I was like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was really like a hard job to be at. Yeah,
because, oh my God, that's kind of crazy though, because you were like, I'm kind of thinking about quitting. He's like, okay, well, quit.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good to me. Okay.
Wait, but you know what? It does suck though, because the principal of that school personally knew the dean of admissions in nursing at Samuel Merritt, which is the school that I'm trying to go to. And I was like, fuck, I can't even ask him for a rec letter.
Damn.
I know.
Oh my God. Oh well. It's okay. Question number 4. So you get your paycheck. What do you do? How do you spend your money? What's the breakdown between necessities, leisure, and savings?
So I'm trying to remember, like, so in the past, I want to say like 6 months was when I started, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's been a year now, that I've kind of started breaking down my financials monthly into an Excel sheet, and like just trying to figure out like allocations and everything. And I just recently learned about
a freak in the sheets, Excel sheets.
I like that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
I've never heard that. Well, I've heard the freak in the sheets, but not in the Excel sheets. That's so funny. Oh my God. I'm going to start saying that. People are just going to think I'm weird, but I don't fucking care. Anyway, yeah, so I would like do like, I have these tasks in my calendar. Like, I think in the beginning of the month was when I would like kind of calculate my monthly budget and expenses, and every paycheck I would kind of like update that budget and expenses type of thing. Let me think. So my savings, like it's pretty like measly, you know, because I don't, like, if I'm getting money in right now, it really should be going towards my debt. But I do have like, first of every month I have like $50 go in, and then every paycheck I have another $50 go in. So essentially like 3 times a month there's like a $50 thing going into my savings. Obviously I've had to like dip into it a couple times, which sucks. So paycheck wise, that's, you know, 3 times a month would be the $50. And then I learned about the snowball method payment of debt.
And for those who don't know,
for those who don't know, essentially it's like, if you say you have debt for like 3 credit cards, you just want to you want to start by the card that has the lowest balance on it. And essentially what you do is you kind of like look over how much you can contribute. So look over how much you can contribute versus like how much that minimum payment is. And say like, I think when I started it, I had like maybe about a $2,000 balance on this lowest credit card, and my minimum was probably like $50 or like $60, so it's not a lot, right? And then when I was looking through my finances, basically it's like, okay, I have my paycheck, and I have my balance, and see how much I can spend. and then I like subtract the minimums from all my other cards, and then I just want to see like how much flexible spending do I have left, and how much of that am I willing to pay towards my credit card. There's like a divide between how much can I pay towards my credit card and like also leisure of like food, or maybe want to eat out or something. So I think when I first started, instead of paying the minimum 50, I was like, okay, I think I can start with $200. So instead of paying the minimum, I would like pay $200. And then I got to a point where I said, I think I can continue contributing more. So now I'm like contributing 550 towards this minimum. So,
hell yeah.
So, you know, like that one is pretty like much almost paid off. So once you pay off that card, you take the 550 that you're already paying and add it to the minimum of the next lowest balance card. So if the next card is like $100 minimum, you're already paying the 550 that you were paying for that lower card, and now you're just adding it to the minimum of your next one, which is what you were already paying. And then you add that together, and it's like now you're paying what, like 650, and then that larger balance gets paid off, you know, in X amount of months. And then again, next card, you move on to whatever you were paying, add that to the next minimum until you're debt free.
Debt-free,
Debt-free.
yes. And so you just like end up paying more and more then, and you just do it faster and faster.
Yes.
And that's great, because it's like a great way to get started too, especially if you have like an intimidating amount of debt, and like, you know, some people, they just ignore it, but you know, instead of ignoring it, you put in a little bit at a time, and then eventually as you get in the habit of doing it, you know, it's just easier.
Yeah, and it's a really great method too, because like I think what a lot of people, like a mistake is that a lot of people think you should start paying your highest balance card first, and it actually like it doesn't really like benefit. You don't really get much benefits from that, because you're just paying that, and then it's like, you know, your higher balance card, and then now you're just gaining all interest on the other cards too. So yeah, snowball method.
Yeah, and then when you pay your lowest card off, then you only have 2 cards left, and then you get that sense of accomplishment faster. You need that.
Yes.
We need instant gratification as humans.
Yes.
Okay, do you have a budget?
Yeah, so I don't have like, let me think about my set budget. I haven't done it like recently just because I've been occupied. But I mean, a lot of my budget, I told myself like, I would break it down weekly, like whatever my flexible spending was, I'd be like, okay, I can't spend more than like this per week. I think I kind of just like fell loose from it just doing this past month, even though the month just started. But because I don't even really like go out and like eat like that a lot anyway, so I had a little bit more flexibility like with my budget. But I think just recently I've just been going out to eat like a little bit, but it hasn't like really affected me too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So like, say you're trying to save up for something. I know you're trying to like get tatted soon for your birthday this year. How would you save up for something like that?
So in this specific instance, it just kind of worked out a little bit better that I did my taxes early and I got my return
Nice.
really fast. So I just kind of like transferred it to my savings right away. But I mean, if that wasn't the case, like if I didn't get my tax return and I knew I needed to save up more, then obviously I wouldn't have planned my tattoo to be so soon, because it's just going to be on March 14th, which is like a week from now. Holy shit. And I wouldn't have like set an appointment date so soon if I knew I couldn't pay it yet. But I probably would just contribute more of my paycheck to the savings to kind of like allocate some money for the tattoo, depending on how soon I wanted to get it. You know, with the flexibility of my budget.
Got it. Question number 6. Have you ever regretted spending money on something?
Oh yeah. I mean, I definitely, a part of me has this weird, like, I don't know if I want to say insecurity, but like a stressor where I'm like, oh my God, am I like becoming a hoarder like my mom? You know?
I have that same stressor.
Yeah, because, okay, so literally I was in Leanna's bathroom earlier and I come out and I'm just like, is that a dental pod? And then she's like, oh yeah, I just got it. And, you know, I saw it and literally like I thought this was something that she would have. And, you know, for those of you that don't know what a dental pod is, it's just this little pod where it uses like ultrasonic waves or something.
It's this little container. it's a pod, quote unquote, and it contains water. You just put it in there and it cleans your like Invisalign retainers and whatever, because I have Invisalign, if you can't tell by the lisp. But yeah, it like uses ultrasonic waves to like vibrate the gunk out of your shit, and it's like very satisfying, especially the advertisements that they have for this little dental pod. I mean, I feel like we're like advertising this right now.
No, I know, right? This is not an advertisement.
But yeah, the reason I thought that Angie would have something like that is because Angie has like a lot of like nice things to have that just like aren't entirely necessary. Like, for example, when I first moved into this apartment, she gave me like a napkin holder, and like like, I know that's like a really random example, but like, you know, if you listen to my episode, you'll remember that I said I don't have a colander, and I don't have like some practical things, and I'll just like make myself suffer because I don't want to like go out and spend the $6. And like, the napkin holder was probably like what, like $10 or something or less, and like it's just like a thing that like I never had in my childhood home, just because like Asians don't really like, you know, have like napkin holders and like colanders, and like
they just put the napkins on the table, or they just leave it in the plastic.
I know, it's like so hard to explain why, but like I was like, yeah, Angie, like she has like a lot of these like things, because like when I came over to your apartment for the first time, you had like all this like matching furniture and like shelves, and like everything was just like so organized, and you have these like, okay, the little, what are those, the pull cords?
Yes.
Yeah, so like for my overhead light, like there are these pull cords that Angie bought where you can like attach them, and they're like in the shape of like a mini light bulb and a mini little fan.
So
and
you
it's
know which
like
one to pull.
It's so cute, and I was like, oh my god, like she has like all these nice things, and like and you bought me like an Amazon Echo for Christmas, and like the newest one, and I had like one of the older ones, the first gen, and you know, like logically I'm like, I don't need a new speaker because I already have one, but then you're like, no, you need the nicest, newest one. And I was like, yeah, you know, buying myself this dental pod, like it's a little bit extra, but you know, I like it. Yep. I don't regret it.
See, my not theory, like my explanation, my reasoning behind buying all of these like frivolous things that you don't really need. Me, it's more of like efficiency, right? Like I get really, like, I'm a very, very efficient person. If there's something that I can do to make that time like easier and get it done quicker, then I will do it. I will drop the money for it, because it's like, I don't know, I get very like angry quickly when I'm out here like how do you not have a colander? Like, if I'm over here, like, I can't get all this water out of whatever the fuck I need to get it out of, or like, I just, you gotta wash it in the bowl, and the bowl fills with water, and then you gotta overturn the bowl. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, but it's just like, I mean, for me, like, okay, I have an engineering background, all right, so
I know how these bowls work.
So I have like creative solutions for like everything. Like, okay, for example, when I was like, I was a plant mom for a very brief period of time, and then all my plants fucking died. But when I was a plant mom, I refused to get tomato cages for my fucking tomato plants, and they would grow so tall. And you know what I did is I just taped together a bunch of popsicle sticks.
Okay, what my mom does that actually.
I taped together a bunch of popsicle sticks, and then I stuck them in the pot. And then I would like tie the tomato plant to the popsicle sticks. Obviously, that didn't really work out over time, but you know, I come up with creative solutions for things because I'm just like randomly, selectively cheap about certain things. But with the dental pod, like, I kind of don't want to like brush the Invisalign every night. So yeah, that's why I got one.
Yeah, that's really the biggest reasoning behind that I can get. Like, I'm trying to think about, like, what else do I have that is, like... I don't know. I mean, there's so many things. I used to get really mad at my old roommate. Like, obviously, I would have all these... a lot of them were, like, kitchen appliance things, you know, that could make cooking easier, or faster, or more efficient, and I love cooking. And then I would see him, like, doing some... frugal shit that Liana would do, and then I'm like, why are you doing that? Just use like the colander, we have it. And he was like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, it's not fine, because now you're just justifying like me, like you're just justifying that I shouldn't have bought this because you're not even using it. Like, yeah
Yeah, but then at the same time, like, maybe he is right. Maybe he was right for not you having to use it, because it's like, why?
But then he would like do it, and then it like would come out bad, and I'm like, it could be better if you just use this shit.
True, facts.
But he was also him, and he was a piece of shit. So anyway,
but yeah, the question was, have you ever regretted spending money on any of it?
I mean, yeah, there were some things where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this to make this easier, and then maybe it was like a thing that I don't do very often, but I like went out and bought like this thing to do it anyway. Like for example, I mean, so you know how like facial shaving has been like pretty popular with the little razor thing. So they say that like it's not required, but they say it's like best if you like steam your face beforehand, or you could just get like a nice warm like damp towel to kind of like open up your pores. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I bought a facial steamer, and this was like a year ago. I bought a facial steamer, and I haven't even opened the box yet.
Oh my god.
So I mean,
you can literally just hover your face over a pot of boiling water.
No, I could. Yeah, there's some things. Same thing, I got this like at home like laser removal zappy thingy. Also haven't. It's probably been like 2018. I haven't opened the box.
I have one.
Yeah, see. And it's like, okay, yes, I would use them, but you know, I kind of like would use an excuse of like, let's say facial shaving, right? And I'll be like, okay, I can't really facial shave properly until I have this thing, and then I have the thing, and then I'm not even like using it. I also haven't facial shaved like recently, so yeah, there's a lot of components. A lot of it goes towards like me feeling like I can't do something properly or right unless I have like this specific aspect, and then when I have it, like either I do or don't use it. But there are definitely things where I like impulsively buy things that I shouldn't. So yeah, I've definitely regretted spending money on something.
Do you regret spending money on your toxic ex?
Which one?
The one that put you in debt.
Yeah, I do. Because he would, like, the fact that I had to ask which one. Because, you know, like, he was just so irresponsible. Like, he couldn't. So, when I met him, like, he had a good job, right? And then he just got so obsessed with me that he's, like, started calling out work all the time because he just wanted to spend more time with me and shit, you know, like.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Toxic.
And then because of that, he went through so many different jobs because he was just so inconsistent with it, and he just wanted to be at home with me all the time.
Yeah.
So he was out of a job for a little bit, and I don't think he was getting unemployment either. So, and that sucks because when that happened, that was when I was in the highest, like my best relationship with money. Like credit score was great, got money saved and all that. And then that happened, and then I just had to start shouldering a lot of our finances.
Because you were living together?
Yeah. And then, you know, he would, like, I would be kind of, like, forced to pay for a lot of this stuff. And I would kind of get on his ass about, like, hey, like, when are you going to pay me back some of this stuff? Because, like, a lot of this stuff is, like, I should be racking up interest, you know, for the fact, like, he would pay it in such small amounts, and it took him so long to pay it that it was, like, I was losing more by it being this way, like by letting you pay whenever you want to pay. Yeah. And then he would like get at me by saying like, it was one of those things where it's like, why should I have to feel bad about asking for it when it's my money? You know, like you should feel bad for like taking this long to like pay me back and having like me had pay for all this shit.
So was it like planned when you paid rent those times and like paid those bills that time that you were just shouldering it first, or did you or like was it just like he was never going to pay you back, or did you expect him to pay you back for those things?
So it was never a plan of like, oh, I can't pay it yet. It was like literally the day of, on the day he's supposed to send me rent, he like just wouldn't or didn't.
So then it would either be like pay rent all by yourself or get evicted.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, what was the biggest thing you spent money on lately?
Well, I definitely have been a little bit frivolous these past couple months.
Yeah.
Again, like, let's just take into the example of me feeling like I can't do something unless everything is right.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, let's take school, for example. Like, in terms of, like, efficiency with school, like, I feel like I just have to be in a really good environment and this and that. And I felt like I couldn't do things productively on my desk because I had a, like, relatively small desk and everything. So I just I spent a lot to kind of, like, put my desk setup together. So I bought the standing desk, which was a great practical buy because it's really helped, and I don't regret that at all. But that was big because it was like probably $600.
Okay.
I think.
I know somebody who spent like $1,000 on
Yeah,
his.
yeah. No, they get expensive, but I just was like, oh, I don't need to max out the specs on this one because I don't need to. So there's that, and then I got like an arm for my monitor, which was probably like another $100 or something.
What the hell is a monitor arm?
Like, you see how your monitor is just kind of like sitting down.
Yeah.
There's like an arm
Like,
where it. Yeah, like this podcast mic arm. So that it
can move around.
Yeah, and allows more space on the desk.
Oh.
Because the monitor that my cousin gave me is 34 inches, by the way, so it's huge.
Oh, wow.
It's fucking massive. And the legs on it take so much space.
Yeah.
So it takes up so much space on the desk, and I'm like, oh my fucking God. So I needed it to be able to, like, get off the desk and push it back. So
Got it.
yeah.
Yeah. That's actually a practical buy then.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think about, like, other things off the top of my head. But yeah, I just put in a lot to, like, kind of like maximize my
desk space.
Yeah, my setup
Yeah.
to increase my efficiency and just kind of like my mental.
Yeah, it's important.
And that was great.
See, the standing desk is in the same lane as the napkin holder for me. I'm just like, if you want to stand, just like get up. Like,
yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's the point of it is because, for every hour that you work, you're supposed to be standing for at least like 10 to 20 minutes. I think
really?
Yeah, they say, like, maximizing it should be like 30 minutes for you to get health benefits from it. Should be 30 minutes. So I would set a timer. 30 minutes on and off, so I'd be sitting for 30 minutes and then standing for 30 minutes.
That's only if, like, you're like sedentary, right? Like if you don't do any other exercise.
Not necessarily. It's
Really?
more of like if you're gonna be working for like a long time, you need to. It'll be good to, like.
Well,
to
shit.
Sit up and down. Yeah, I mean, at least for you, like, since you don't have the standing desk, it would be good for you. At least they say at least like 10 minutes to 10 to 20 minutes in the hour. You can just stand up and like take a break, but.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I do get up a lot, though.
Yeah.
I, like, go to the bathroom and, like, get snacks.
Yeah, get snacks, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was fine to, like, just sit for, like, 8 hours straight because because I work out anyway and then, I go outside sometimes, but apparently not.
Yeah, well, I mean, it probably wouldn't, like, if you were to look at someone that was sedentary versus you, like, sitting for 8 hours, you probably wouldn't, like, have as, like, drastic,
negative.
Yeah, negative.
Ramifications.
Yes.
Effects.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. What was the biggest thing you've ever spent money on?
Ooh. Fuck. I mean, probably my phone.
You paid for your phone out of pocket?
No.
Oh.
I mean, in terms of amount wise.
Oh.
I mean, it was on, like, installments, right? Because the Apple Card, they do it on installments, interest free.
Okay. Besides your phone, like something optional. Probably the tattoos, huh?
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
How many tattoos you got?
I think I have 5 right now.
And how much do they cost in total?
Okay, let's figure it out. Okay. I don't remember the amounts exactly, but I think the 2 on my neck were, I think the first one was $120, and then I think the next one, let's just say it's also $120. This one was $600. This one was $200, I think. And then this one was, I don't know how much this one was. I don't know.
It's a small one.
Let's say like 150. I don't know. So close to like 1,200.
1,200 so far. And then
so far. And then I'm getting 3 more tattoos next week.
All at once, which is crazy.
Yeah. But the total for that is going to be $675, which is a great deal for 3 tattoos.
3 tattoos. I agree.
And I think, well, there's, a couple different factors to that. Like, I had entered this tattoo giveaway, and they are giving me, like, a discount. And I don't know, in terms of, like, percentage or dollar amount, how much the discount was. I just know I'm getting a discount. So...
Good discount feelings.
Good discount feeling, yeah. And also, like, she's just starting up, but she's really talented, because I think she's just tattooing out of her home.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Nice. Oh, my goodness. And, okay, I'm a big tattoo fan. Like, I think when men have, like, sleeves of tattoos, like, sexiest thing ever. And, like, if I didn't want to go into acting, I would, like, get myself tatted up, like, completely. Like, I would just be, like, a tatted fucking bitch. Like,
yeah.
I love it so much. And, like, I'm about to get one next month, too. And, so I know the reason why, like, the appeal of tattoos. I get it. But what is it to you?
To me, well, obviously, like, the main reasons behind tattoo is, like, you want to get something kind of, like, imprinted on you that has, like, big meaning, right? And obviously, like, like you and I, we've both been through, like, a lot of shit in our lives. And,
yeah.
Well, of course, I just want to be a tatted ass bitch, too.
Yeah.
I want to look hot. And there's just something about feeling... like, having something permanent on your body that has, like, such great meaning to you, like, that hits differently.
Yeah. There are some people with, like, I don't know, like 50 tattoos, and then at a certain point they just, like, I mean, the first few are, like, really meaningful. Like, this is a symbol of, like, my childhood or whatever. But then, like, the 50th one is just like, oh, I just thought this looked cool.
Yeah.
It's a frog. I like frogs. Like, that's pretty much it. Like,
yeah. No, it's funny because one of my coworkers a couple months ago got one, and then I was, like, asking her. She told me how she got a tattoo. I was like, oh my god, cool. What is it? And she's like, I don't know. I just liked how it looked. And I'm like, awesome.
Yeah. Do you think you'll get to that point soon?
I mean, I don't know about soon. I think once I get all the pieces that I have in mind for myself, then I'll start, like, venturing to the, like,
the random cute ones.
Yeah, the outline of the small-headed bear or something.
Yeah, there's this very small-headed stuffed bear that you're obsessed with.
It's really fucking funny. Did I tell you? So I found out, I've been really into, like, sending GIFs and, like, stickers lately.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize his name. So he's, like, an official thing. Like, he's on this website called Tiny Headed Kingdom. So there's other animals on there with tiny heads, but the bear is the one that looks the best.
What?
And then... I, like, was looking up GIFs, and I found out that, like, he has a GIF, and his name is Pip. And have you, I'm sure, like, the listeners have seen this pretty popular meme where it's, like, this dog sitting in a room on fire.
Yes, everything is fine.
Everything is fine. So, Pip has a GIF like that.
Really?
And he's just this big-ass buff bear sitting, and then you just see him, and he's sweating, and he's holding a cup of coffee. I'll show it to you later.
Okay.
It's so funny.
Oh, my gosh. Cute. I love it. Okay, question number 8. Do you wish you made more?
Oh, yeah. Definitely wish I made more. I've been in this weird, and I think I told you this yesterday, I've been in this weird thing about, like, should I start adding on a couple more days to my work schedule so I can make more, but, like, is it worth, like, doing more labor and sacrificing the time to, like, take care of myself? I definitely wish I made more just to kind of, like, make the 3 days that I do work feel a little bit more... like, impactful.
Yeah. What would you do with the extra?
Is this, like, debt aside, or?
Well, I guess debt is implied.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So, with the extra, like, my main priority right now is really to, like, knock out that debt. And I really want to, just save up hella. Like, aside from being a little frivolous, like, these past few months, I've really just been wanting to, like, exercise, like, frugality for myself and just get on some savings.
Yeah.
Because I haven't, got to do savings and just practice savings in a really long time. And, like, that feeling sucks. But I just want to, like, really start contributing more to, like, my personal savings and figure out, like, a retirement plan, man.
Yeah. Do you have a retirement account right now?
I don't.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a job that, like, I didn't have benefits at my, salary job, so I didn't get to start that.
No benefits, but a salary?
Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Because we were a small company. store, whatever. But yeah.
Okay. You win $5 million. What would you do with it?
Holy shit. Well, you know, obviously pay off the debt, and then I would like move the fuck out. Like, for the listeners, so I moved out I moved out of my parents' house when I was like 18, and I lived on my own for like 4 years, and then I made the really big decision to move back home because, so I was working my salary job down there. I was a restaurant manager, and I was working 80 hours a week and not being able to save, and I wasn't really happy just because being in the restaurant industry during COVID, it was a lot, and working 80 hours a week like really took a lot out of me, and I felt like financially it just wasn't like reflecting, like the work I put in, it wasn't reflecting financially, and I just needed to make some life changes. So I thought that going back to school and getting my degree would obviously, you know, in turn give me the higher paying job so that I could do what I needed to do. But you know, living back at home is hard.
Yeah.
For a lot of like implied reasons, and I would just get the fuck out of home, move out, treat myself.
Yeah. Treat yourself to like millions of dollars worth of shit.
yeah. I would probably get me some like 2 new cars. I you know, my car, I just have it because it's a little mom's CRV car, and that was my mom's. But you know, somebody asked me recently if I was thinking about getting a new car, and I was like, why? That came out of nowhere. Like, why would you? I've never like talked about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's just like, oh no, I'm just wondering. Like, you never thought about getting a new car? And I'm like, no. But you know, in the future, in terms of cars, I see myself having 2 cars. One really big, nice, luxurious mom car, and like a little manual to fuck around in because I'm like learning manual.
That's so much fun. How's the manual learning going?
Well, we've only really done like 1 or 2 like serious sessions. Every other time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, every time we do it, or every other time like he offers to help me, I'm just like, I'm tired, I don't want to.
But are you able to like drive it down a street yet?
I just went in a parking lot.
Oh, okay, got it.
Because I just learned
Nice.
clutching and getting out of first gear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it like? Is it hard?
Well, I didn't learn a lot. But, you know, it was fun. My friend said that he was really surprised because what most people struggle with is, like, clutching and getting out of first gear. And he said I did it really well. So I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I did.
Just naturally good at everything.
Yes, I am.
Okay, what is your next financial goal? Yeah, I guess besides from the debt, because we talked about that already.
So besides from the debt, you know, it again would be to like really be effectively like crack into like saving and just get enough money to like move out again.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And also just to like, I guess, make enough money to the point where whatever is going towards my expenses, like bills and everything, like I have enough to comfortably like have for myself too.
Yeah, definitely. If you could go back in time and like not move home, would you do it, knowing where you are now?
Oh fuck. You know, this is something that I have like struggled with, especially in the past couple months. I always like go back to this thought of like I really prepared myself. Like I knew it was not going to be easy being back at home, but I felt like I really had to do it because I can't do school full time if I was still working at my old job.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like I just want nothing but to move out right now. But then I also keep thinking about like, shit, did I make the wrong decision moving back home? And then I keep circling back to, no, not really, because if I didn't move back home, then I would, even if I did move back in the area, like I would still have to be working a certain amount of days to make rent. And, you know, putting that into school, like it just probably wouldn't have been productive. And yeah, I'm just trying to see it from both sides. But either way is like not easy.
Yeah, definitely. And you made the best decision that you could with what you had at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I like justify a lot of my shit too, my actions, because it's like I made choices, like the smartest choice that I could make at the time, you know, considering like all that I had and all that I knew. And so that's why, like, you know, I try not to regret anything.
Yeah.
What do you allow yourself to spend a lot of money on?
probably shit that I don't need. Like, okay, so, you know, the dental pod was probably the thing that...
It was like $100.
It was, yeah. But I know that, you know, that's gonna, like...
Clean your shit.
Yeah, clean my gunk.
It'll, like, literally vibrate, like, the nasty stuff out of your little clear braces.
I did also buy, like, a water flosser recently, but that was not expensive. It, you know, I just got it off Amazon, and it works really great, and I don't know why I didn't get it sooner.
Oh, I had one, but then it got really dirty, and so I threw it away. I couldn't keep it clean. It was so impossible.
You know, it's... I don't think you have to throw it away. It's more of, like, that's just water calcification.
I threw it away.
Yeah, water calcification, you can kind of like fix that with vinegar.
Oh, I just didn't know how to clean it because there were like so many little like crevices.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's an electronic device. So it's like, damn, am I allowed to put water here? Am I allowed to put, you know, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to get rid of it. And it was so ugly.
Oh,
See, I'm so fucking wasteful. Oh my God.
Okay, new rule. You have to consult me before throwing things away so I can see if it's salvageable for you.
I will. Okay. What are you really cheap with?
What am I... Who? What?
What are you really cheap with?
What am I really cheap with?
If anything.
I can definitely be cheap with things. There are a couple things where I'm just kind of like, oh, I don't want to spend the money on it. But, you know, it's so weird. Because this is probably, like, the same thing with you. For maybe specific, like, select things that I can't really think off the top of my head right now. But there's a couple, like... Oh, I know. Okay. So let's think about, like, what if I'm, like, running out of, like, certain beauty products or, like, things that I could use, like face wash, for example, right? Like, I'd be so lazy, like, oh, I don't feel like going to the store, and I don't feel like spending money on, like, a, you know, $10 plus face wash, but I'll go and buy $100 dental pod, like...
It's about buying things that, like, you can't do without. Like, for example, like, my laser hair thing. Like, I can't, like, exactly laser my own hairs with anything else, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, with the dental pod, like, it's not like... I mean, it literally takes away the task of, like, brushing my shit, like, you know...
Yeah. And I
manually.
And I don't know, maybe it's also like my lack in self-care thing too, where it's like, oh, I gotta go buy face wash, and I'm like...
You can wash your face with water.
Yeah. So maybe I'm like really cheap on things that like I actually really do need, you know? Yeah, which is really funny. Such an inverse relationship.
What would you do with your life if money was not an issue?
Oh, you know, that's so funny because my coworker actually asked me this recently, and I was so stumped and I couldn't think about it because I was like, wow, you know, I haven't really gotten the chance to reflect and like think about my passions because all I ever do is like things out of obligation, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then I really thought about it and I was like, you know, I would probably be a dancer.
What? Oh, I love that.
I would probably be a dancer or like continue in something culinary wise.
Yeah.
Or like a bartender too, because I did I tell you I almost wanted to become a bartender?
Yes.
Yeah, and I just didn't do it because I got like really scared about, you know, with the whole essential jobs thing for when COVID was really, really bad. It was like, damn, like if I was a bartender, then this wouldn't cut it, and I was just trying to make a practical decision.
Yeah.
Know?
Damn. That would be cool. I think you would make a very good bartender.
Yeah.
I think you would, you know, listen to people's problems at the bar and just be like, it's okay. He doesn't deserve you anyway.
Fuck it, I should just, like, kind of just do it on the side anyway. God, like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, last question. What do you wish you could tell your younger self about money?
It's funny, that question, because what I would tell my younger self is actually what I would tell to Nate, who is my brother, my older brother. My older brother. But he's still, like... Well, before I moved back home, like, he's lived at home, like, his entire life. He hasn't moved out yet. And a lot of the things with money, like, what I learned as I moved out and just, you know, being adult in the world by myself, I learned a lot of things, especially financially, and was kind of, like, telling him these things and wish these were told to me. And it was more of, like, just really, like, emphasizing, like, saving. You know, I was just telling him, like, hey, you know, you have a full-time job now and you have benefits. And you're not paying rent. Well, actually, sorry. Before this full-time job that he had, he was working at In-N-Out full-time.
Right.
And he didn't have benefits, but you know, like he was making like pretty decent money, and he wasn't paying rent at the time.
Is he paying rent now?
Yeah. My mom is like making him contribute like, I don't know, it's like $400 or $600 or something.
That is the first time that I've heard of like an Asian parent making their kid pay rent.
Yeah, I think it's because this just kind of goes into like they just want him to have like a sense of responsibility and like have an idea about what it's like in the world.
That makes sense.
And also my mom is retired and like leeching us for money, so you know that's her excuse to do that. But oh, and like she's retired and can't dip into her retirement savings
Because she's not old enough.
She is now, I think.
Yeah.
She can start, but I don't know why she hasn't. Yeah.
Interesting.
She just this year she turned 60.
Why did she retire if she wasn't able to?
Because she wanted to move to the Philippines because she didn't want to be here with my dad.
Got it.
And she just wanted to be happier in the Philippines. And I was like, oh, yeah, be happy. Go do you. And then she didn't do it.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, so we lost all our health insurance and you can't even dip into your retirement. And now you're leeching us all for money, you know?
God, that's bad.
Yeah. So anyway, like I would just really like stress on spending. And just because I'm at home and like living at home and not having to pay rent, I didn't really see the importance of like having savings and like being frugal with that, because it's like when he would get his paycheck, he'd be like, yeah, like $1,000 whatever dollars. It's like, okay, great, now I have $1,000 to go spend on stuff, versus like let me just keep myself to a budget and you know.
Yeah, I used to have a friend who was exactly like that, where every time he would get $300 in his bank account, that was $300 to spend. And like, I don't know, like if I had $300 in my checking account, I would fucking die. Like I would just be like, oh my God, I'm broke.
Yeah, it's like if I were to get $300 now, like, okay, so I forgot, I think we were talking about how like, was this maybe around like early last year or something, there was a kind of like stimulus payment that we got. It was supposed to be for like the gas prices increasing and stuff, and it was like a couple $100. I don't know, like less than $400 or something.
I think so, yeah.
Or maybe like $350 or something. And then I told you, and you were like, "That's it?" And I was like, "Yeah, honestly, yeah, that's it." Because it's like if I were to get a random $300 right now, I'm like, okay, I got $300. I'm not gonna touch it though. Like I can't do anything with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like, when we were younger, like, if we got $300 when we were, like, 14, it'd be like, holy shit.
I'm rich.
I'm loaded. But it's just like, yeah, okay, like, now we're adults and, like, $300 barely pays, like, part of rent and, like, part of, like, monthly groceries.
Yeah, and monthly groceries that don't last for that long.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that fun being an adult. But the thing is, I think about this very often is I would not want to be a kid again because I didn't like the lack of control.
Yeah. I mean, it just feels overwhelming to be an adult because there's so many things you have to take care of. But like, I wouldn't trade it for being a kid.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade it for being a kid because you and I just both had like bad childhoods.
Yeah, I would fucking die if I have to go back to that. And also, like, I think we just say we want to be a kid again because we don't have all these problems that we have to worry about, and we have our parents to worry about that for them. But then they have control over us.
They do. It was bad. It was really bad. I never say I want to be a kid again, though.
Yeah.
I never say that. Well, anyway, that was the last question of all my questions. Thanks for hopping on this podcast with me and being so, like, open and vulnerable. I hope that, you know, someone will be able to, you know, relate, or, you know, any of this will, like, resonate with somebody and, like, hopefully help somebody out there, too.
Yes, thank you. I had so much fun, and it did feel good to talk about, like, financials because I feel like finance is not really, like, an open topic with most people.
Yeah.
But it should, like, I feel like finances, like, they're not a shameful thing. Finances are not a shameful thing to speak about unless you, like, make it shameful, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not embarrassing unless you make it embarrassing.
Yeah, and also, like, I feel like maybe with some certain people, like, if you think you're in a bad situation, like, it's actually more common than you think. Like, I was over here thinking that, like, oh, like, I'm probably the only person out of all my friends in debt. And, you know, sometimes I'm talking to my other friends and they're like, debt. And I'm like, you too? But, you know.
Yeah, them too. For sure. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.